Back in 1843, a group of settlers headed to California for the gold rush attempted to cross this desolate desert. After getting lost and many losing their lives, some made it out. As they crested the mountain range and the valley faded into the distance below, one looked back and proclaimed, "Goodbye, Death Valley." A lack of resources and dehydration spelled the end for many of these settlers. Water and the lack thereof played a vital role in their fight between life and death. The desert, barren, lifeless, and desolate. It's easy to see that a place like this doesn't get much water. Sometimes we don't realize the importance of water until we come to a place like this. And then we realize the importance it has in the giving of life. I'm your host, Jonathan Hunter, and in today's episode, we're going to be learning more about water, one of the 8 components of a NEWSTART lifestyle. Death Valley is a prime example of what a lack of water does to an environment. How might a similar scenario play out in our bodies? Let's go find out.
November the 8th, Thursday morning. We wake up and it just looked like a beautiful morning, but in fact, the town was on fire.
Where we lived was at the top of a ridge, and where we had to go was at the bottom of that ridge. Generally a 10-minute drive to get to the next town.
And there was a tree that was on fire, the grass was on fire, the truck was on fire, and I knew there was a propane tank behind that house. So I said, "Carl, we have to leave here. We have to turn around."
And so for the next 4 hours, we were driving through the fire, we were driving through people whose cars were falling apart, some on fire, people walking, people running, all sorts of things was going on. As time went on, I don't know how long it was, a day or something, that we finally found out that our address was one of the ones that was destroyed.
Carl is a very quiet man. He doesn't talk about his feelings a lot. And the stress was building up. We didn't know how much the stress was building up.
I had a stroke and I was in a hospital for 23 days.
Carl was absolutely unresponsive when we got to the hospital, but they were able to save his life. It is something very dramatic to watch your husband of 48 years and not know whether he is going to survive.
After the stroke, one of the biggest things was that was my vision.
He was just terrified to be in the car with me. Now, a lot of men are terrified to have their wife drive. That wasn't it. It was his vision that had been disturbed because of the stroke.
My eyes were not working together. They would see, they'd see a car come, but once that car would get to a certain period or a certain distance, it would then move over to the right side and would be coming straight at us, driving along.
And as he would see these vehicles come and look like they were going to hit us head on, he said, "Shirley, I just can't do this."
My wife knew about not this place, but Weimar, and that's where I ended up.
When he went to have his first blood draw here, they could not get the needle in any place, and they had stuck him all over the place. And the same thing happened when he was in the hospital.
They needed to bring in one of their specialists to get the blood out of my system.
Usually I'm the one stick wonder. You know, get me the hard sticks, I get you one stick, you know, after they've been stuck several times. But so I thought I was going to get them, like one stick. I want to trying 5 times, and I seen that he was hurting. So I said, Mr. Greer, we got to stop. You know, we can't just keep poking you all day. Your veins aren't out. He was so swollen.
After the word got to the doctors and so on, they told me that what I needed to do was drink a lot more water than I was drinking.
But when he had been here a few days and he'd been drinking the water and the water began to work, we were driving and he said, wait a minute, I don't need to put my glasses on. I don't think I need to put my glasses on.
My vision began to come back is what it was. And we were out on the road again. And that's where I realized that things had changed, because we were driving down the same road and the cars were doing what they were supposed to do, stay in their lane.
When I seen him the second time for the second blood draw, 2 weeks after I assumed he had his blood drawn somewhere else. He says, nope, we didn't get it done anywhere else. We wanted to go through the program, follow the health principles, drink the water.
So I'm looking around. I didn't watch him. I didn't have to. I just knew it was going to happen. But I heard him say, he said, he says, well, will you look at that? The blood was flowing. It was just flowing. And he's going 1, and I didn't even look. I don't know what he did, but he counted 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then it was all done. Just like that. He had his 4 vials.
Without water, I believe I would have lost my husband sooner or later. The condition of his blood was so thick that it really impacted everything in what he could do and how he was feeling.
Yeah, water was number one. It was a big part of what took place, and it has not been dehydrated since then. I have not stopped drinking water since then, because I know what was necessary. Me and water get along really well.
Wasn't that powerful? That testimony reminds me that just like how individual droplets of water can come together to form a powerful wave, our daily individual choices can form a powerful new way of life. Up next, we'll hear from a team of medical professionals with practical tips about the power of water.
Oh, you want me to do this thing?
Yeah, go for it.
You're serious?
Yeah. Take 1.
We are made primarily of water.
65 to 70% water.
If you don't have enough water,
then we don't get the optimal biochemical reactions to occur in the body.
your whole body cannot work properly.
So our body and circulation, physical, muscle mass, even brain chemistry is dependent on adequate amounts of water.
Every single cell in our body needs to have hydration.
The majority of the human body, percentage-wise, is water. And so we need water. Dehydrated tissues don't work properly. A dehydrated brain doesn't work properly.
If you're a diabetic and you are dehydrated, your blood sugars automatically go up a little bit.
Well, if we talk long enough, you realize that water affects every single part of our entire being.
So water is the way that your body gets rid of toxins. If you don't have water, you're not going to be able to get rid of toxins.
People think, well, aspirin is the cheapest blood thinner. No, fresh water is actually cheaper than aspirin, and it reduces the viscosity and is a blood thinner that can help prevent even the risk of heart attacks and strokes.
It helps cleanse the impurities so the kidneys can filter it out without having to work quite so hard to concentrate.
Our blood pressure system, it's really, without adequate water, our blood pressure can drop.
If you don't have enough fluidity of blood, you can get blood clots. The platelets, the blood itself becomes more stagnant.
We don't think as clearly. We lose there's memory loss, short-term memory loss, and long-term memory loss. get headaches.
The Harvard study showed that for every cup of water that a man drank, he would decrease his risk of prostate cancer by 7%.
They even find that hydration impacts people's mood.
It has been shown to reduce the risk of depression, anxiety, and brain fog.
A study was shown that if you drink a glass of water at night, you reduce your risk for acute coronary syndrome that night, just that night, by 50%.
Most heart attacks that we see coming into the emergency room, for instance, happen in the early morning hours once the body's become very dehydrated.
If you were the brain, where would you want to protect most? Yourself, the brain, and the circulation.
You will sacrifice other areas of the body.
So if there's not enough fluid in the circulation is going to take it out of places like the colon, so you might get constipated, and places like the joints.
You take your body weight in pounds.
Divided in half is the number of ounces you should drink per day.
If it's kilograms, then it would be equal, maybe a little bit more than the amount of kilograms of body weight.
You'll know you drank enough when your urine turns clear.
If the urine has a lot of smell or it has a strong color, most probably you're not drinking enough water.
If your urine is dark yellow, okay, and you have no other reason for your urine to be dark yellow, it means that you're not drinking enough water. When the urine looks like the color of the water that you drank, okay, which is clear, then you know for sure you're drinking enough.
The water you take in and the water that you put out should be a very similar color. That's a good measure.
Thirst is not a good indicator of when you should drink water.
By the time you're thirsty, it's estimated that you're already 20% at deficit.
When you get above 65, 70, then you may lose like 50% of your thirst drive entirely.
We're not thirsty when we're mildly dehydrated. It's only when we're severely so that we tend to get, or moderate to severely so, that we tend to get thirsty.
So you should always drink before you get the thirst mechanism going on.
Actually, as a gastroenterologist, I have found that it's best not to drink with your meals.
What happens is blood flow is now directed to the stomach to do the job that it needs to do, and your body goes into an anabolic mode. When you drink water,
you can dilute the digestive juices.
You're not breaking down those food components into their basic parts that are better for absorption.
Which delays and makes the digestion much more difficult. Can even lead to being so slow that things start to ferment or rot in the stomach before they actually get digested and moved on and then absorbed.
And the whole process then drags on and causes more fatigue for us.
They've done studies where if you drink 1 or 2 glasses of water about 30 minutes before a meal, then you don't eat as much. So you take in less calories and you lose weight, and you lose weight quicker than somebody else who doesn't drink the water.
When you do that, you hydrate your body, and when you hydrate your body like that, what we find is that you make better saliva, better digestive juices.
And that will actually produce less reflux, it will speed up gastric emptying, less fermentation in the stomach, and more efficient digestion.
Hi, I am Dr. Randy Bivens. Did you know that without water, you could only live a few days at most? The brain is 90% water, and when we are dehydrated, our entire brain slows down. Water is also necessary to regulate our body temperature and to filter our blood. In a recent study, it was shown that if you drink at least 40 ounces of water per day, your risk of coronary heart disease drops by over half. So, drink up.
Growing up by the ocean, I would often venture out to see the waves crash into the rugged rocks. The raw and untamed power always amazed me, and I learned the power of water from a very young age. I could stay here all day, but I think I smell something else that's always captivated me: waffles. Let's head over to the NEWSTART kitchen to see what Margaret Gallant has prepared for us today.
Welcome to the NEWSTART kitchen. I'm Margaret Gallant, and we're going to make waffles. These waffles are gluten-free, and they're wonderful to make big batches of and freezing them for future use. So let me go through the ingredients. We have 2 1/4 cups of water, and we divide it out and we have a ½ cup of raw cashews. I have 4 pitted dates, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, and 2 cups of rolled oats. So we're going to begin by putting 1 cup of water in the blender with the cashews. And the salt. And the syrup. And the dates. And we're going to blend that up. I'm going to put just a little bit of water, a little bit more. We're going to blend that until it's nice and smooth. You want to make sure your cashews are blended well and your dates. Sometimes you'll hear really wild noises while the dates are being blended, but don't worry. It's just that those dates sometimes are a little hard at times. So we're now going to add the rest of the water and the oats. And then we're going to blend it again. And your recipe's done. So now that it's blended, I like to let it sit for 5 minutes just so it thickens a little bit. So we're going to get the waffle iron ready and we'll see you in a few minutes. So the waffle batter has thickened up and our waffle iron is preheated. So let's get some waffles cooking. All right, so we'll put the batter in. Close it up and we're going to let it cook. Now, you want these waffles to cook very slowly on low. All right, we'll see it when it's done cooking. We'll be right back. All right, the waffle iron says it's ready, so let's open it up and see. Ah, very nice. Very nice. With some berries and some 100% maple syrup, you've got yourself a wonderful breakfast. Hope you enjoy these waffles.
Welcome back. Perhaps it seems like you've had a river of information rushing toward you. Not to worry. Up next, our studio host, Matthew Laredo, and Dr. Randy Bivens will break down the link between dehydration, arthritis, and drinking water.
Welcome. We're here today with Dr. Randy Bivens from the Weimar Institute. We're going to be talking a little bit about the importance of water. So Dr. Bivens, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do here with NEWSTART and with the Institute?
I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and that effectively makes me command and control over all the facilities on campus, including NEWSTART.
Okay.
I actually do give several lectures to the NEWSTART guests each session. I do it on day 10, and there's a reason for that. By day 10, they're already seeing the miracles of what NEWSTART can do for them. So they're excited and they're happy, and they're starting to see miracles in themselves and all of their guests, universally. So they go, and they're finally getting it, wow, this works.
Wow, that's incredible. So this episode is about water, and my question to you is, to what extent does water really affect the health of the body? How important is it to our overall health and everything?
Really good question. I guess in honesty, I would have to say staying hydrated is probably the most important thing we can do for health. Mm-hmm. The problem is we don't have a lot of data because it's a little hard to study the benefit. For example, does it reduce the risk for
pain in joint pain and arthritis. Or we know, in fact, that being hydrated reduces your risk for heart disease. We know, for example, the whole lifestyle program is beneficial in just about every known disease. But here's the real important thing physiologically. Staying hydrated keeps the viscosity of the blood more fluid. And I think we were talking earlier, and you said it's like the difference between water and honey. Well, your blood never really gets the thickness of honey, but that's a really good analogy, because imagine if your blood was the consistency of honey, it just doesn't flow very fast. And let's just say you had cancer and you're actually taking chemotherapy. Well, the chemotherapy gets there through the blood network. And if your blood is flowing not so well, it's going to take longer and may take more chemotherapy. But if you're real well hydrated, the viscosity is lower, the blood is fluid, it gets out there, so it's delivering oxygen, it's delivering nutrients, and it's delivering killer T cells, your immune system. It has to get there the same way. And also any medication you'd be taking that needed to get there has to get there through the blood system, and being hydrated makes that whole system work better.
So it's like as if it's oil for the car almost.
Yeah.
It's just helping the machine to run
Yeah,
better.
Without it, the car engine will burn up, but without water, you will die. You might get up in the morning and look in the mirror and you notice that your face looks like you just aged a couple of years because you've got more wrinkles. When you get dehydrated, your skin kind of contracts, and if you're well hydrated, it's like a moisturizer. It's going to make your skin flesh out and look healthier and happier in the morning.
Wow. So are these effects something that happens immediately, or can it be seen over a longer period of time?
Both. Let's say the effects of chronic dehydration. Kidney stones. People get kidney stones because they stay chronically dehydrated.
Are we talking years of dehydration?
Years, absolutely. We know, for example, people who smoke they age really fast, especially their face. In fact, that's one of the things we appeal to people. You can actually you don't age as fast, and so that their vanity makes them want to stop smoking. But it turns out water has almost a similar effect on the aging of your skin. If you're chronically dehydrated, you're actually going to develop wrinkles much faster. So we could appeal to vanity. Like if you want to not age so fast, stay hydrated.
So even me as a young person now, if I'm not getting enough water, when I get older, my skin can be more wrinkled.
You don't care right now, because you're invincible. Okay, you're a teenager, you're never going to die, and you're as beautiful and handsome as you're ever going to be. But when you're 50 and you look and you see all these wrinkles, you said, I should have taken better care of myself, because those effects are happening to you right now.
So would you say the majority of people are underhydrated
or
or overhydrated?
At least 80% of the population is chronically dehydrated.
Thank you, Dr. Bivens, so much for letting us know about the importance of water. And now we're going to throw it over to Dr. Gallant. He's going to share with us the importance of water and our nerves and how this can affect our lives.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Gallant. Did you know water plays a role in nerve transmission? Impulses travel along the nerves via low-voltage electrical currents. Impulses go from one nerve to another via chemical reactions that take place in a water environment. God created us with small waterways that send neurotransmitters along microtubules to these nerve endings to enable these reactions to take place. When your body is dehydrated, nerve transmission is compromised.
Everything we've learned about water distills into this simple fact. We need more of it, and we need it daily. And just as water turns to snow to transform a landscape, how might there be a living water that can transform more than just our physical lives? Up next, Dean Cullinan will share more about this water of life.
For most people, access to clean water is as simple as turning a faucet or going to the store. Except it wasn't always that easy. There was a time when, like the woman mentioned in the 4th chapter of the Gospel of John, people actually had to go to wells to draw their water. Except she was a little different. She would go in the middle of the day, at the hottest point of the day. when no one else was around. Not because she didn't want anyone else to know her, but because everyone already knew her. In seeking to find value, she had given herself over to various different men, and now her reputation preceded her. But she's not the only one at the well. She meets yet another man. She meets the man. And Jesus makes her an offer. Water that will never run dry. Water that, if she drinks from, she will never thirst from again. What Jesus offered was no mere drink. What he offered was a quenching of her soul's thirst. What he offered was a cleansing of her heart's guilt. What Jesus offered her was a new start at life. Her response? She drops her water pot. She lets go of her past. She lets go of her desires to live a life that has only ever brought her pain and heartache. And then she runs. She runs back to the city, back to her people, to tell them that this woman that has known many brothers has finally met a man. Except this man is not looking to take something from her. No, instead he offers her something. Something that he offers to you too. The question is, are you willing to accept the water of everlasting life?
We hope you enjoyed today's program. From the gorgeous waterfalls of Yosemite to the barren deserts of Death Valley, we've seen just how vital water is to any environment, including our bodies. Perhaps you have some more questions about water or other NEWSTART principles and would like something a little bit more in depth. Well, our NEWSTART online program is just for you. The program features 30+ health presentations pre-recorded by our NEWSTART medical team, delicious whole food plant-based recipes from the NEWSTART kitchen, and the encouragement and resources needed to make a change that will last. All this and more is just a few clicks away. So go ahead and click the link below to get your NEWSTART online journey started today, and use the promo code NEWSTART now to get 10% off your subscription. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Hunter, and remember, it's never too late to make a new start now.
Though my problems were physical with my diabetes and hypertension, I felt that when I arrived on this campus, the spiritual feel of the Holy Spirit and the influence of God helped me so much to become motivated, and it just made me better. You know, I came here because I was trying to avoid dialysis because I have hypertension and diabetes, and the doctors say that there's no hope for that. But they say here that there's hope in everything.
I came to NEWSTART with high blood pressure and with type 2 diabetes. And in 18 days, all of my numbers are at or below normal. So, if you want the same results and you want to be part of a grace-based program, NEWSTART is for you.
NEWSTART is a blessed and worthwhile experience. I've been suffering from diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cholesterol. I've been healed. I took 8 meds and I'm not taking any one anymore. Jesus is good.